Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on the WWL Louisiana News at 4. I'm Devin Bartolotta. Here are today's top headlines. We are monitoring storms again today with rounds of heavy rain possible. We have seen showers on and off throughout the day. Some neighbors in New Orleans East even reported some damage this morning. And we're now watching that today's storms don't become more severe, which could, we know, lead to some street flooding. That's something we're paying special attention to after flooding over the weekend. So let's get right to a check of what you should expect with meteorologist Brooke Leisure. Brooke, an easier day today would be a very good thing.
Certainly, Devin. Our forecast for this afternoon has been quiet, all things considered. The radar picture right now really not showing much at all, especially on the North Shore. Down to the South Shore, also quiet compared to earlier this morning. So a lot of the storms that we saw this morning were the more intense of the day. We saw a few of those move offshore quickly into the early part of the afternoon. Our flooding concerns at this point pretty much over with. So we did have the highest slight risk for our flood concerns compared to the weekend, but we ended up seeing heavier downpours on Saturday and even a little bit more so yesterday in a couple of spots. We'll look for another round of possible rain leading to street flooding tomorrow, but that's going to be on the lower threat side, so a marginal level 1 out of 4 risk instead of level 2. And then the rest of the week, we really changed the pattern to become drier and more quiet. So we'll talk about the heat returning close to heat advisory criteria in those triple digits as we get into Wednesday through your weekend coming up shortly.
All right, Brooke, thank you so much. Meanwhile, the Sewerage Water Board of New Orleans says human error is partially to blame for street flooding over the weekend. We saw high water in several neighborhoods, including Mid-City, Lakeview, and Holly Grove. And now other city leaders are pushing for answers. Paul Murphy joins us now. Paul, what were you able to find out today about what happened and how this happened on Saturday?
Well, I think this whole thing has been sort of a series of problems for the Sewerage and Water Board over time. And I think that's the larger question is, what are you going to do to fix not just what happened on Saturday, but what has happened over the past few years where we've seen delays in getting pumping going on, whatever the reason may be, power, human error, technical problems at the central water plant. So that's what city leaders are demanding. Tell me how you're going to fix this whole system. And then let's take a look at what happened specifically on Saturday, which is DPS 7, which is in City Park. 3 pumps that should have been on were not. You had DPS Pritchard in Holly Grove. 2 pumps were supposed to be on and only 1 clicked on. So obviously some problems there that really need to be fixed. But you know, let me take my neighborhood, for example. My neighbors have more of an expectation, unfortunately, that the pumps are not going to work versus they're going to work.
Yeah.
So people are going, well, how quickly are we going to get the pumps on? Because you can tell right away. The rain has stopped and the water's still sitting there in the street, and you're like, okay, well, I hope it starts quickly so that I don't have a problem with my house or my cars.
And at the end of the day, people do not really care the reason why. They just want to know that it's not going to happen next time and that they're not going to have their car ruined. So I know big next steps for city leaders. Well,
one of the good things, though, is on Saturday, we did not have a problem with that new that new power complex out near the central water plant. That was an issue on the previous storm, but there wasn't a problem with the power. There wasn't a problem with the static frequency changers. There was human error. There was technical errors. So again, you have to really feel for the folks at the Sewerage and Water Board because we're dealing with old infrastructure and we're dealing with old pipes. We're dealing with drainage. The catch basins, some work. Some of the lateral, smaller pipes don't.
Yeah.
And you're dealing, in many cases, with catch basins that are clogged for whatever reason. So there's like a lot of issues out there that need to be ferreted out and prioritized.
All right, your full story is coming up at 5 o'clock tonight?
Coming up at 5, yeah.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. And remember, you can find the latest updates on this story and all of our headlines on our website, social media, and on our free apps.